Hi everyone, welcome to another Yarn Scrap Friday with me, Laura, and something a little bit different this week. We got an upcycling Halloween special project. So if you've got any old glass jars, I think this had chili con carne in at one point, then grab those jars. It's a fully customizable tutorial and some orange and green yarn, and we're going to make this into something rather pretty. So let's begin. Okay, so what are we going to need for this project? Well, the most important thing is a glass jar. So try and choose one that's a little bit more square in shape. Might be a little bit easier to work with, but any old glass jar is good. And with that, we're going to be using some orange yarn and some green yarn. Now this yarn is a sport baby weight yarn, so it's a yarn weight of 2, but you can use any yarn that you like, so it's fully customizable. But with that yarn, I'm using a 3.5mm crochet hook, so it's an E4 crochet hook. You're also going to need a pair of scissors and a yarn needle for sewing in some ends, a little bit of masking tape or just normal tape, and also some fairy LED lights. So I might be giving it away a little bit what we're making. But let's begin, shall we? So the first thing we're going to work on is covering the bottom of our jars. So we're going to start off with our orange yarn to begin, and we're just going to work a little chain 4 loops. So you can work the magic circle as well if you want to. But let's do a little slip knot, and we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to put our hook into our first chain, bring the yarn through, and straight through the loop on your hook. So you've got a little loop of chains. And into there, we are going to work 12 double crochets. This pattern's in US terminology. So in UK terminology, that's going to be a treble. But we're going to start off with a little chain 1. Don't count that as a stitch, just for leverage. Then we're going to yarn over, and we're going to go into the center of our loop. Be careful not to go into the first chain. Go into the center, bring the yarn through, then just wrapping it around the chains, work a double crochet. And we want 12 of those. Now, if you're using a chunkier, thicker yarn, you may need to do less double crochets, so make sure it lies flat. So maybe work to 10 rather than 12. But for this yarn, this weight yarn, so sport baby weight or a DK light worsted weight, we're going to work 12 double crochet. So 2, 3, 11, and one more, 12. So 12 double crochet. Make sure you can see the first one. Then we're just going to slip stitch into our first double crochet. Slip stitch into there. And hopefully you got something that looks like this. Now this is obviously way too small for our bottom of our jar, so we're going to keep going. So the next round, chain 1, I'm going to do an increase round. So we're going to go back into the same stitch we just slip stitched into and work 2 double crochet, 1 and another one in the same stitch, 2 double crochet. And we're going to work 2 double crochet in each stitch around. So we're going to turn our stitch count from 12 to 24. So we're doubling up. So 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochet in each stitch around. So I shall do that and then come back. 1 and 2. Okay, it's coming up to the last stitch, 2 double crochet in there as well. And we should finish on a stitch count of 24, unless you've worked less or more stitches, obviously. We're going to slip stitch into our first double crochet to finish. And then we want to hold this against the bottom of our jar. See, it's still a little bit too small, so we're just going to keep going, another increase round. So chain 1, and this time we're going to do 1 double crochet in the same stitch we just slip stitched into, so just the 1. And then we do our increase of 2 double crochet. So 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 and 2. And then we repeat that all the way around. So in the next stitch, we just do 1 double crochet by itself, just the one. Then we do 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 and 2. And we repeat that all the way around, doing 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. You'll end on 2 double crochet and your stitch count should have gone up by another 12 and be 36. Okay, so should do that and then come back. So 1 double crochet, then 2 double crochet. Okay, just coming up to the end, that's 2 stitches, 1 double crochet, then ending on 2 double crochet, 1 and 2. Okay, so then we're going to slip stitch into our first double crochet to join the round, and our stitch count should have gone up to 36. So now we want to check how big this is against the bottom. So we're pretty much almost there. So when you get to just sort of 1/2 centimetre away from the edge, we need to just calculate what size stitch to use. So here I could probably squeeze in another double crochet. If you've got a lot less space like this, you could maybe just do a 1/2 double crochet or even a single crochet. So we're going to do one more round, one more increase round. And then we can move on to the next steps. So we're going to chain 1 and yarn over, and going back into the same stitch we just slip stitched into, we're just going to do 1 double crochet. And we're just going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch as well. Just the one. Then we're going to do 2 double crochet, should line up with your previous increase. So 2 double crochet in there. 2, and then we're just going to repeat that all the way around. So we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 2, then 2 double crochet. So 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, then 2 double crochet. And repeat that all the way around, back to the beginning. You'll end on 2 double crochet. And you should have a stitch count, it's gone up by 12 again, of 48. Okay, so 1 double crochet in the next 2, 2 double crochet. Okay, so just coming up to the last 3, again, it's 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then we finish on 2 double crochet in that last stitch. So by the end of this round, which is our last increase round, we should have a stitch count of 48, and then we're going to slip stitch into our first double crochet to finish. And what we want to do is check this against the bottom of our glass jar. So I'm going to grab our glass jar, and we can see that that is a perfect fit. So you can see it sits nicely on our little crochet circle, and if it's really hanging over the edge though, you may want to work 1/2 double crochets or single crochets, smaller stitches like I suggested, but just work to the same increase round, so working 1 stitch into the next 2, then 2 double crochet or 2 1/2 double crochet, 2 single crochet, whatever. And when you've got the size you want, what we're going to do then is move on to our next round. So for our next round, what we're going to do is some back post stitches. Now, if this is really hard, just work into the stitches as normal. We're going to start off with a chain 1, going to yarn over, and we're going to go around the first double crochet post. So what we're going to do is come from the back, so yarn over, come from the back, and come to the right hand side of that first double crochet post. Okay, then we're going to flip over to the left of it and go back out to the back. We're going to bring the yarn through there, come up, you should have 3 loops, it can be a little bit fiddly, 3 loops, and then just work a double crochet as normal. So pull through 2, pull through 2. And that's it. That's a double crochet back post stitch, and we're going to do that all the way around. We're going to do 1 double crochet back post stitch around each previous double crochet post. But like I said, if this is really fiddly, just work into the stitch as normal and work 1 double crochet in each stitch around. But for the next one, we're going to go to the right hand side of the next double crochet, which is the same end side of the first one, and then go over to the opposite side, the left hand side, and to the back. Grab the yarn, bring that up 3 loops, work a double crochet. Then the next one, we go in the hole where we went to the back the last time, so to the right hand side of the next double crochet, then to the left hand side, to the back. Bring the yarn through and double crochet. Okay, so work 1 double crochet back post stitch around each previous double crochet post, keeping a stitch count of 48. Okay, so I shall do that and then I shall come back. Okay, so when you get to the end, I've got a couple more back post stitches to make. I've got one more here. Just going to slip stitch into our first double crochet. So just check your stitch count is still correct. So in my case of 48. And what you've created by doing the back post stitches is a really nice 90 degree angle, nice corner. So it looks like a lid in its own right. And you can just check that sits nicely in your glass jar, fits nicely in there. And now we're going to create the sides, this beautiful kind of lacy effect. So our stitch count is 48, so I'm going to divide mine into 4. So if you have a different stitch count, then try and work out what number can be divided into that stitch count. So in my case, 4 divides nicely into 48. 48 divides nicely into 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a little chain 1, and we're just going to work 1 single crochet, so in UK terms that's a double crochet, in the same stitch we just slip stitched into. So we're going to go into there and do a single crochet to begin. Then we're going to chain 6, so chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And then we're going to skip the next 3, 1, 2, 3, and do 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So there, what I've done there is I've worked to a little group of 4 stitches, and we're going to repeat the same thing again. Chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And just repeat that all the way around back to the beginning. Just chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So if you're dividing yours into, say, 5 instead of 4, you would skip more stitches in between 4, 5 and 6. So instead of skipping 3, you would skip 4 plus the 1 single crochet you're working, and you're grouping it into 5 instead of 4. Hopefully that makes sense. But for me, I'm working into stitch count of 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3. 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Coming up to the end, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then we skip the last 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet. slip stitch into there. So hopefully you got something that looks like this, these little cute loops. And we're going to find our first chain 6 space and slip stitch into there. Just do slip stitch into there, and we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in this chain 6 space, just wrapping it around the chains. Okay, so it's the only time we do this. Now we're going to work continuously, and we're going to do it for 7 rounds. So we do the same thing again. We're going to chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then find the next chain 6 space, this big gap, and do a single crochet in there. Try and get it to sit in the middle of those chains. And just repeat that all the way around, back to the beginning. So chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, find the next chain 6 space and do 1 single crochet in there. So repeat that all the way around back to the beginning. Okay, so when you get back to the beginning, you should be able to tell, because we're joining around, you should tell roughly where the beginning is. But we're just going to continue straight on. We're not going to slip stitch to join. We're just going to chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just find the next chain 6 space and work a single crochet in there. And we're just going to continue all the way around again, and we're going to do 6 rounds, 6 more rounds till it's about hanging loose like this. We'll come up to about 2/3 of the jar, and then we're going to stretch it into position. Okay, so I'm going to do 6 more rounds, just continuing round, not joining the rounds. 6, and then I shall come back. So find the next chain 6 space, do 1 single crochet. Okay, chain 6. Okay, so when you get to about here, we should have 8 rounds in total, 8 gaps as it were. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This might change though, depending on what size jar you're using. You're obviously not going to have the exact same jar as me, but what you want to do is just pop this inside, and when it stretches, it should reach about 2/3, so not quite to the top, maybe an inch or inch and a half away from the top like this. We're going to stretch it into place. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to grab our hook again. And I might just take this out for now. And what we're going to do now, once we've got the 8 rounds, is we're just going to chain 3 instead. So chain 1, 2, and 3. And then do your 1 single crochet in the next chain 6 space. So kind of the same as before, but we're just chaining 3 in between to sort of level it off. Chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and 1 single crochet in the chain 6 space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Keep them a little bit loose, not too tight. 1 single crochet in the next chain 6 space. So do that all the way around. 1, 2, 3, and then she'll come back. 1 single crochet. Okay, almost at the end, chain 3. Our last chain 6 space, so 1 single crochet in there, and then we're just going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch into this. So this is your first 3 chain that you did, so the single crochet just to the right of that, I'm just going to slip stitch into there and pull up a loop, and then we want to see it sort of come in a little bit. We're going to put it around our jar, because now we're going to have to crochet with the jar in there because we're securing this into place. So I'm going to do this off camera because this is really fiddly trying to get this on. Okay, so what we're going to do now, once we've done that, is find our first 3 chain space, and into there we're going to work 3 single crochet. So it's going to be a little bit fiddly, but 1, it's wrapping it around the chains, 2, and 3. Then skip the 1 single crochet and find your next 3 chain space and do 3 single crochet in there. 1, 2, and 3. And this is slowly tightening the top. So as you go round, you just want to push it up so it stays into place. Which gets a bit easier the more you do. So next 3 chain space, 3 single crochet, 1, 2, and 3. Next 3 chain space, 3 single crochet. So do that all the way around, just pushing it up to the top of the jar as you go, after you've done a few 3 single crochets. Try and keep it on camera. And what it should do, the tighter it gets, the more it will stay in place. Okay. Okay, when you get back to the beginning, we're just going to find our first single crochet and we're just going to slip stitch into there. Give that a nice tight pull. Get your scissors and cut your yarn. Let's pull that through and hopefully that is nice and tight now around the top of your jar and staying in place. If it's still a little bit loose, you may just want to do 2 single crochet instead of 3. But the idea is to make this tighter around the top so it just sits over the lip of the jar. And there we go, that is our main pumpkin part. And what we're going to do now is we're going to cover the lid. So we're going to hide our tail end as well. But what you want to do for the lid is follow the same first 3 rounds as the bottom, but we're going to do it in green yarn. And the lid is slightly smaller than the jar, so the 4th round we're going to use a different stitch. But the first thing I'm going to do is the first 3 rounds again of the orange base, but I'm going to do it with a green yarn. So I shall do that and then come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so I've repeated the first 3 rounds of the base, so exactly the same as the orange. I've just done it in green. And we're going to take our lid and see how that fits. Now the lid's obviously, like I said, slightly smaller. So the last increase round, instead of doing double crochets, we're going to move down to half double crochets. But it's the same stitch count, so we're just going to start off with a chain 1, yarn over, do a half double crochet or half treble in UK terms, and go back into the first stitch you just slip stitched into and work 1 half double crochet. Then 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, and then we do 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and just repeat that all the way around. So 1 half double crochet in the next 2, then 2 half double crochets, 1 half double crochet in the next 2, 2 half double crochets. Back to the beginning, you'll end up with stitch count the same as the orange of 48. And I shall do that and then I shall come back. So 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch, then 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, 1 and 2. Okay, then when we get to the end of that round, we just slip stitch in our first half double crochet to join the round. Okay, so this should now be a good size for our lid, and we're going to do the same thing as we did with the orange. We're going to do some back post stitches, double crochets, so we'll back up to double crochets, but this time it's quite hard to work round half double crochet posts, especially if you've done single crochets as well. They're very, very small. So we're going to do back post stitches around the stitch rather than the post. So we're going to do a little chain 1, then yarn over, and we're going to go into the same stitch we just slip stitched into, but from the back. So it's the same as the other back post stitches. Then we're going to go into the next stitch, but from the front. And then we grab the yarn, just bring that through, 3 loops, work a double crochet. So that's working it around the stitch rather than the post. I'm going to do 1 double crochet, a back post stitch around each previous stitch, keeping a stitch count of 48. So for the next one, we go into the stitch we went into from the front, but this time we come from the back. And then we move over to the next stitch and go in from the front, grab the yarn and work a double crochet. Just do that all the way around. So now we go into the same stitch we just went into, but from the front, but from the back. Then go over to the next fresh stitch from the front, bring the yarn through, work your double crochet. Okay, but you can, like I said with the orange part, just work into the stitches as normal if this is too hard for you. Okay, so I shall do that, then I shall come back and then we're nearly finished. Okay, so with the last one, the very last stitch, you still have to work, but you don't have another stitch to work into, but we're going to go into the very last stitch, but from the back this time. Then we're just going to go into what I call the fake stitch. Just find a gap slightly over and create your very last double crochet back post stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch into our first double crochet to join the round. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next round, but you might want to skip the next round depending on how tall your lid is, because some jam jar lids are quite small. So I'm going to do an extra round because my lid's quite big, but you may just want to skip the next round if you have a shorter lid. So, but for me, what I'm going to do is a little chain one. I'm going to go back into the same stitch, just slip stitched into and work a double crochet. And I'm going to do one double crochet in each stitch around. So I'm keeping a stitch count of 48. Okay, one double crochet in each stitch around, but skip this round if your lid's a lot smaller. Okay, so I shall do that, then I shall come back. Okay, so coming to the end of this round, we're just going to slip stitch into our first double crochet. And now what we want to do is help it to stay on the lid. So we don't want to have to use glue or anything. You can use some glue if you want to stick it on, but what we're going to do is just finish up with a chain one, and we're going to do one half double crochet in the first two. So we're going to go into the same stitch we just slip stitched into and work a half double crochet or half treble. And we're going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch. Then we're going to half double crochet 2 stitches together. So we're going to do a decrease round. To do that, we yarn over, go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, yarn over again and go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through. You've got 5 loops, pull through all 5 loops. That half double crochets 2 stitches together. Then repeat that. We're going to do 1 half double crochet in the next 2. So just 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to half double crochet 2 together. So yarn over to the next stitch, bring the yarn through, stop, yarn over to the next stitch, bring the yarn through, 5 loops, pull through all 5 loops. Okay, so repeat that all the way around, doing 1 half double crochet in the next 2, then half double crochet 2 stitches together, and then your stitch count should go back down to 36. Okay, so I shall do that, then I shall come back. Okay, so you should end on a decrease, then we're just going to slip stitch to join. If the half double crochet is a little bit too big, you can just use single crochets if you want to. So it's going to cut our yarn, pull the loop through, and there we go. And this should fit nicely onto our lid and stay in place. Okay, there we go, perfect. If it is a little bit loose, you can use a little bit of glue in the middle if you want, a little bit of kids glue. Elmer's glue, PVA glue, that sort of thing, but hopefully this will work perfectly. So I'm just going to hide my tail ends and then come back and show you how to finish off this really cute little project. So we're going to thread on our yarn onto our yarn needle, and we're going to go into the next stitch, front to back, then come over to the stitch, it's a little bit small, just go into the back loop only. And that creates a nice join where you can't really see the stitch join, and then we're just going to hide our tail end as neatly as we can. I'm sure you can do a much neater job than me. Cut our tail end and then thread, place our lid back on, and then what we want to do is we want to get our fairy lights next. So we're going to take our little fairy lights, and mine has this kind of little battery pack here. Yours might be a bit different, but we want to stick this on the inside. So we're going to get some masking tape or normal sellotape, whatever you have to hand. And this just loves to split on me, this tape. So just try and do this neatly. And we're going to stick this on the inside of our lid. Okay. Okay, so I've stuck that on the inside. I'm going to switch my little lights on and then place the lights in here. And what do we have? What have we ended up with? We have a really cute little pumpkin lantern. And there we go. What we want to do is see it in the dark. Oh, that's nice. That's beautiful. And there we go. We have our little pumpkin lantern. And of course you can crochet a little strap to hold it if you wanted to. But there we go. A really fun little Halloween themed project. And you can of course make these in any colours that you like. You could also use those little battery powered candle tea lights that you can get as well if you wanted to, and stick one in the bottom. But I think the little fairy lights are quite pretty. Creates a nice little lantern. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you managed to follow along and it's inspired you to recycle some of those old glass jars hanging around the house. So you can of course use different coloured yarns for different types of seasons. You could make some Christmassy ones, you could make some summery ones, spring ones. It's entirely up to you, but I thought Halloween pumpkin style would be great for this time of year. And of course you can make and sell these. Any of my crochet patterns you can make and sell the finished makes. So no problem whatsoever. And a huge thank you to my Member Plus members on my website for helping make these types of tutorials possible. So hope you feel inspired. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it for more upcycle DIY type projects, crochet projects, and I will see you soon for some more crochet crafting fun. Thanks for watching guys. Bye.